Oh, okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to call the annual meeting of 2025 to order. And the first thing we are going to do is open with our anthems. And Cantor Kathy is on vacation, so Kristen Lushtag will be filling in for her, I'm sure, rather nicely.
I will do my best. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave? Kol old belevav benima nefesh Yehudi omia ufoatei mizrach kadima ailit Zion Sophia. O Delavda Tikvatenu, Hatikva Bachnot Abchaim, Liot Hofshivshi Be'artzenu, Eretz Zion V'Yerushalayim, Liot Hamchoshi Be'artzenu, Eretz Zion V'Yerushalayim.
Thank you, Kristen. We will start with the treasurer's report. So Greg is up.
I have really good news tonight. I left my speech at home. So the treasurer's report is going to be very, very short. But let me start off, even with no speech and the idea of what we're doing. We've had a very, very interesting year. So first I'll talk about what happened this year and how we're going to end the year, and then we'll talk a little bit about next year and what next year is going to look like. But the narrative that goes behind this year and last year is we've had a lot of changes. So we've had personnel changes. We've had the way we do things like maintenance. So we went from a single person doing maintenance to a contractor. We went from Kim Williams to doing a full-time role, as everybody knows about, to the bookkeeper. And we have Marlene Whitman coming in as our new executive director. So we've got a lot of things in the hopper that we're really working on. So first, to go to this year, we're ending the year June 30th, and I'm pretty positive about what we're doing. We're much ahead of what our budget plan was for revenue, much to be thankful for from a fundraising standpoint. So by the end of the year, we're going to use much less of our endowment than we did last year, and much less than we planned to use. So thanks to everybody that attended and participated in the fundraiser, so that's very important. So we're going to have a pretty good year in that light. Talking about next year, we're going to work from a budget that's almost $1 million for the first time. We're going to be at $996,000 in our budget. Most of that's going to be funded by dues. So we believe our dues will be about $545,000, or 55% of our budget, which is the biggest number we've ever had for dues. Then about 18% of our budget is going to be fundraising and other donations, which again is a really good number for us. And I'd really like to say thank you to a number of people here that have made that possible through a lot of different avenues and what you've done. So those are really the main avenues. And I look at our religious school, and religious school accounts for kind of 11% of our budget, but it only really brings in 5% of our revenue. So if you add those things up, you're looking at a little bit of a shortfall. So we need the endowment, which is going to be about 14% or $140,000 this year. And then we'll make the rest of it up by a bunch of different smaller revenue streams, which I'm very excited and happy about. At the end of the year, though, you're going to be seeing a couple of things that are going to be changing. You're going to get a dues statement that's going to come out the end of June for our membership for the year, and everybody will see a 5% increase with a cap at $100 per member. Religious school participants are going to see an increase of $25 per child. So sounds like a lot of money, but we have one heck of a religious school. With 105, 106 kids this year, with the quality of education and the teachers and everything that happens, it's well worth what we do. So you're going to see an increase there. And this year, for the first time, when the dues come out, everybody will see a single statement for membership fees and religious school. So for the first time, it will be consolidated together at the beginning of the year for those who pay by credit card or on a monthly payment plan. It should be much more simple and easy to manage, so to speak, from where they see it. We think that's a real process improvement. So to circle back, this year we're very positive that we've ended the year well and are going to end the year well. Then next year we've got a lot of aggressive goals, and those goals are really to improve programming and engagement, and we're taking a big swing to do it. So we're going to make a lot of commitments, and you see it in our budget, and we think it's going to result in new members and more programming. So we're very, very excited about that. And again, at the end of the day, we're looking for a balanced budget, and it meets what we think the needs of the temple are. Thank you for your time, and I'm sorry about my lack of a speech because I'm doing the whole thing from memory about what I really wanted to tell you about, but I think I saved you probably 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. The first order of business after the treasurer's report will be the presentation of the Mitzvah Day Award, and I'm going to call on Art Krakauer to do that.
Thank you, Linda. We just completed Mitzvah Day last weekend, and I'd like to thank all who participated, especially one individual who has been instrumental in keeping this program going in Akron for the last 23 years. This person has been involved step for step with everything that happens with Mitzvah Day, and perhaps just as important, he has been a major factor in building the relationship that Temple Israel has with other faith communities here in Akron. I'd like to ask Bruce Zake to please come up And while he's walking up, I'll just mention that years ago, I used to work for a big company. And one day we had a motivational speaker come in. And he talked about the difference between being involved and being committed. So he asked the audience, did anybody have bacon and eggs for breakfast? And a lot of people raised their hands. And he said the chicken was involved. The pig was committed.
I think he's calling me a pig. I think.
So Bruce has been committed to social action, to family promise, to Mitzvah Day, and many other temple activities. And we'd like to say thank you to Bruce with a token gift. It's a book about the 613 mitzvot. So from now on, if anybody has a question about ritual purity or animal sacrifice, you can ask Bruce.
No, don't ask.
So on behalf of Social Action, the Mitzvah Day Committee, and Temple Israel, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Jim Levin can attest to the fact that I was sitting there and said, I hope it's not me. I just do my thing, right?
You deserve it.
Why is this so tall? Maybe I can read this when I'm semi-retired in a few months, but do not quiz me on this at all. Yeah, I know, everybody's watching me. You know, like Art said, I don't know if I've been doing it for 20-some years, but I've been doing it a while. And most of the time, I do try and plan Mitzvah Day around my vacation, which means I'm never here. So, but there's a lot of preliminary work that we do, and it's not just me, it's Art. I'm just the tech guy and the photographer and the editor and all that stuff. So again, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, I would like to recognize now, each year we have a number of board members who go off the board because they have served either 3, 6, or some other number. And so, depending on how they felt. So I would like to call Bruce Zake and Bruce Folkerth to the bema. So I think you've already heard Bruce's passion for social action and working with Mitzvah Day, and he's still going to do that, which should make us all very, very happy. But he is leaving the board after 6 years of service, and I want to say thank you to Bruce because he always had comments and he always had something to say, and he wasn't afraid to say it, and that's what, you know, I appreciate that. So thank you, Bruce, for your service for 6 years.
Know that I always have something to
Yes, yes, you do. And Bruce Folkerth, the other Bruce, is the quiet one, but when Bruce spoke, he spoke with wisdom. And I always appreciated that too. Bruce has chosen to only have 1 term on the board after 3 years, but Bruce, thank you for your service to the board. And the board has a gift for you. This one's for you. And this one's for you. Yes,
you.
I was intentional how I picked them out.
so much. Well, this is 613.
No, it's not anything you have to do, Bruce. Now, I also would like to recognize the Volunteers of the Year. This year, again, we have co-volunteers of the year. And so I'll start with the first one, and that is Mike Butlin. So we kind of have an unofficial policy that we don't nominate exec board members for volunteers of the year, and we're not. Mike is not receiving this award for anything he did relative to the exec board. But he did do a great job as secretary, and fortunately will be joining us back on the board. But what he is receiving it for is when I became president and knew that, of course, we were going to be celebrating our 160th anniversary, I asked Bruce to set up a history committee and see what he could do. Two things. One was a permanent display, eventually, of historical artifacts and historical photos of Temple Israel through the years. The other was to do a throwback service with Rabbi and plan for that. Well, he did both of those things, and he did them extremely well, he and his committee. And I'm hoping that at some point the board will approve a permanent installation that is being looked at now in the building, which will show the history of Temple Israel over 160 years. But what Bruce also did, he just took it, or I'm sorry, Mike, yeah, I'm tired, sorry.
I know, there's so many Bruces.
So many Bruces, that's right.
So many Bruces, so little time.
So little time. But what Mike did was he went in with his committee and he organized the entire artifacts and history of Temple Israel. And that was so very much appreciated. I never thought he would, or any of them would get to that point of doing that. But it was something we needed, and he did it very well, and he took it on himself to do it. So for all of those reasons, Mike is one of the co-volunteers of the year.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks.
All right, well, if you have co-volunteers, then there must be another one, right? Makes sense. The other co-volunteer of the year is Joyce Butlin. I didn't call them up together, I wanted to fake them out. I'll call you Bruce. I'm gonna call everyone Bruce tonight, okay? It's a compliment, right, Bruce's? So Joyce is a co-volunteer of the year because 2 years ago she came to me and said, I really want to start an education committee and I want to plan education events with the committee. And I have this idea and I would just like your blessing to go forward. And I'm like, well, yeah, go, you go, girl. So she did, and again, she surpassed expectations because I thought, okay, maybe they'll have one or two. It's a new committee and they're doing it differently. But they had so many wonderful programs here, from a chef to a program's 3-part series on anti-Semitism, Rabbi's 3-part series on synagogue architecture, and what's even better is I know they have even more planned for next year. So it's an example of someone who has an idea, sets up the committee, runs with it, and she really, I mean, she included me, but I didn't have to do hardly anything, which was great. And she did a wonderful job with her committee this year, and I so much appreciate it because programming is going to be an emphasis, I think, going forward, and Joyce has gotten us off on the right foot in terms of that. So thank you, Joyce. Okay. Every year we hand out the Epstein scholarships, and that is was set up, an Epstein Scholarship Fund was set up by a woman by the name of Dale Pittman in honor of her parents. And there's some requirements for this, and I went back and forth with Dale, and she was the ultimate chooser of the individuals who won the scholarship. And so I'm going to call each of them up, and they can get their check. And also I'd like them to tell you where they're headed now that they've all three, well, wait. One is graduating from high school, and 2 others have just finished their freshman year. So first I'm going to call David Kornblum. David was here. Oh, there you are, David. Should I tell him about how you didn't respond to my voicemail, my email? Okay, we're even now. Okay, so David, tell us where you're headed.
I'm going to Ohio State to study exercise science.
So Yeah, that's too bad. Exercise science is the program, as I understand, that you go into at Ohio State before you work your way into the medical arena. And David wants to be a doctor, and I think David will be an excellent doctor.
Thank you.
So, David, congratulations.
Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, you're good. But next time I call you, call me back. Sorry, I had to keep going on that. Logan Maives. There you are, Logan. Now, Logan won the award last year, and as a result of winning the award last year, he was able to apply again this year. And Dale Pittman was very impressed with his resume of his freshman year. So I would like him to tell you where he is and where he's headed.
Hi, I'm Logan. I am a sophomore at Kent State University. I am in the zoology degree program. And I'm working my way to eventually become a zookeeper. And
That's awesome. Thank you. So Logan particularly likes Pallas cats. Now, bonus points if you know what country Pallas cats are from, and you can't answer. Where's Pallas cats? No. Mongolia. Yes. So little trivia, okay? Thanks, Logan.
you're welcome.
And Lily Gottlieb. There's Lily. So Lily is also a winner from last year, so she has completed her freshman year. And again, Dale was impressed with her resume. Normally, we might have only had one winner, but we ended up with 3 this year because of the impressive resume. So Lily, why don't you tell us where you are, where you're going?
Hi, I go to Miami University. I'm in the Farmer School of Business. I'm an accounting major. So then following that, I plan to go to law school and become a lawyer.
Oh, boy. Thank you. Yeah, let's talk. Oh, although we need lawyers for the resistance. I want to call now Becky Rolnick-Fox to the BEMA. Becky was the chair of our executive director task force, which became the executive director search committee, and she's going to tell you about that process. But before she does, I will say this, that there could not have been a better chair than Becky. She was relentless on this, and it was a ton of work. I mean, sometimes you take on chairs and, you know, it's a little bit of work. This was a lot of work, okay? And I think Becky will attest to that. But I want her to tell you a little bit about our selection, who is here tonight, and also about how we got to where we are tonight.
Hi, everybody. Oh, there we go. Hello. Temple Israel is a special place. Our strength is rooted in so many areas: our programming, our clergy, our staff, our congregants, and our deep relationship with greater Northeast Ohio community. Over the past 160 years, we've consistently invested in our future. Our recent past is no exception. Someone said, let's build a new building, and here we are. Someone said, let's build a Mishkan, and there it is. Someone said, let's engage in more Tikkun Olam, and as we heard a moment ago, this past weekend, we engaged in our mitzvah day. This congregation has always been aspirational and inspirational, always forward-looking. And today, I am filled with pride as I share another step in our collective journey, another aspirational moment in the line of so many, the introduction of our new executive director. Over a year ago, a few other board members and I began exploring what it might mean for a synagogue like ours to have an executive director. Our curiosity led us to visit 2 synagogues in Cleveland in an informal learning tour, where we asked questions, listened carefully, and came to a clear conclusion. Temple Israel had much to gain from creating this role. It became quickly clear that an executive director could help free up time for our rabbi and cantor, allow leaders and staff to focus on their strengths, and open up new possibilities in operations, financial stability, programming, personnel, member engagement, and more. We presented our findings to the executive committee and the board and received enthusiastic support to move to a more formalized exploration. A task force was formed made up of clergy, lay leaders, and nonprofit professionals. We consulted with the National Association for Temple Administration, other synagogues, congregants, and colleagues. We pored over environmental reports about the greater Akron Jewish community and studies looking at the future of synagogue life and leadership. We developed a detailed job description and an organizational chart, benchmarked salaries locally and nationally, explored grant opportunities, and secured tens of thousands per year in member support for 2 years. With full board approval and a detailed plan, the task force then became a search committee. We updated our website, created a LinkedIn page, and widely posted the position. We reviewed more than 50 applications, conducted initial interviews with 7 candidates, and then advanced to second-round interviews. In-person visits followed with reference checks, structured interviews, and personalized experiences of 3 candidates. After much thoughtful discussion, we reached consensus, and today, in a moment, I will introduce our new executive director, Marlene Whitman. Marlene is a collaborative, creative leader with a powerful blend of business acumen and hands-on Jewish communal experience. She has been deeply engaged in Jewish life in Cleveland, especially through Congregation Mishkan Or, where she led transformative programs such as the Women Who Inspire series and a social justice event that drew more than 300 participants. Marlene has served in numerous leadership roles, including executive board member and chair of the Temple Art Committee and programming chair for Temple Chai Lifers. Through her work with the Jewish Federation of Cleveland, including participation in the 2023 Mandel Center for Advanced Leadership cohort and her years of leadership with the National Council of Jewish Women, where she revitalized programming and received the Emerging Leader Award. Marlene has consistently brought creativity, strategy, and impact to every initiative she leads. She also co-created autism-focused social skills programs in partnership with the Cleveland Clinic and Hiram House Camp. Her professional background is equally as impressive. Marlene has held senior roles at major companies, including as project manager at Progressive Insurance, where she co-managed a $250 million business, and international marketing manager at Matrix Bristol Myers, overseeing work across 14 countries. She began her career, or maybe not began, but early in her career, she worked at Booz Allen and Hamilton, advising Fortune 100 companies, and completed GE's financial management program, working in cities like London and Budapest. She earned her MBA with highest distinction from Harvard Business School and a BS in business from Miami University, where she graduated summa cum laude. She's also a CPA and the recipient of numerous awards, including the American Marketing Association's New Product Launch of the Year and the Governor's Lifetime Achievement Award for Community Service. Not bad, right? It's a heck of a list. All of these things are indeed incredible, but so are the things that cannot be found on her resume: her passion, her warmth, her joy in community building, and her deep commitment to making every interaction meaningful. Marlene brings heart to her work, and she brings people together. She found this job not because she was searching for a job, but because she was here in our congregation attending our services. She already had joy in being here. Before I invite Marlene to the bema to say hello, I also want to take a moment to thank the exceptional people who helped bring us to this moment. First, the incomparable Linda Barr. Whose grit, clarity, and leadership were unwavering and instrumental. And of course, Rabbi Brown, who approached every step of this process with curiosity, open-heartedness, and an unwavering commitment to figure out what's best for our congregation. Thank you also to the rest of the committee. I know some of you are here. I'm not sure if you all are. Skip Radwani, Greg McMeans, Audrey Baker, Hugh O'Neill, Janine Marks, and Robin Cutler. Thank you. Thank you all for your time, your wisdom, and your persistence. Even when the path was steep, you kept us moving forward. I also want to thank the donors who supported this endeavor with their generous contributions. Your foresight, commitment to Temple Israel, and leadership have helped light the way to a whole new level of possibility. So today, I'm not just introducing Marlene. I'm celebrating a bold step forward. In a world that can often feel negative or uncertain, this board, these donors, these congregants and lay leaders, these clergy, chose optimism for our congregation. They chose action. They chose to invest in our congregation, in our kids, in our future, and in our temple here at Temple Israel. Marlene will officially give her speech at an installation later this summer. So I'm going to invite her up to say just a brief hello. Marlene, welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm looking forward to getting to know each and every one of you and to doing wonderful things together. So thank you so much for having me, and we're going to do great.
Onward.
Onward.
Yeah.
So I know that Marlene brought her family from Solon, and if I could ask them to stand up, because I think you'll be seeing them too quite a bit. Thank you. Okay. Next, we have the nominating report. And I'm going to call Elaine Newman and Andrew Meerman to the bema.
I always need Andrew by my side. The nominating committee met once in person, and then we met virtually. And the nominating committee consisted of myself, Elaine Newman, and Andrew Merriman as co-chairs, Todd Schweiger, Margaret Slesnick, Don Lushtag, Jem Erishin, Art Krakauer, and Ron Letterman. Excuse me. The nominating committee came up with the executive board: Greg McMains, co-president, Skip Radwani, co-president, Audrey Baker, vice president, Mallory Schwab, vice president. I thought she left. Rick Spector, treasurer, Don Lushtag, secretary. Board of trustees: Mike Butlin for a 3-year term, Becky Boucher for a 3-year term, Robert Tratner for a 3-year term, Donna Zabel for a 3-year term, Ron Weiner for a 3-year term, and starting their second 3-year term, Sophie Goldenberg and Todd Schweiger. All in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? Welcome to the new board.
Thank you, Elaine and Andrew. All right, so we're moving now on to the part where we're going to be having a new board and a new exec board and new presidents. And so before we do that, I would like to make some remarks. So temple presidents and boat owners have two things in common. Do you know what that is? It's the day you become president, or you buy the boat, and the day you finish your presidency. Today I'm selling the boat. All jokes aside, it's been a remarkable 2 years for us. Continuing with the water theme, let's talk about ducks now. Do you know there's a thing actually called the Stanford Duck Syndrome? Anybody know what the Stanford Duck Syndrome is? It's actually a bad thing, because usually when there's a syndrome, it's not a good thing. And in Stanford, it's not a good thing. But I want to flip that on its head. So it refers to the outward appearance of calm and composure of a student while inwardly struggling with intense pressure and workload. Hence, not a good thing if you're not exhibiting that you need help. But I want to turn that on its head and say that I hope we look like the Stanford duck, gliding on the surface of a lake while we were actually paddling furiously underwater. And I hope you only saw the gliding part. Our biggest accomplishment as a board is here tonight, and that is hiring Marlene Whitman as Temple Israel's first executive director. This wasn't a decision that was done lightly or overnight. In fact, for the most part, discussions about all facets of the executive director occupied many board meetings. Over time and lots of board discussions and research, it became more and more obvious that in order to grow in many ways, Temple Israel needed an executive director. For too long, we have burdened the rabbi with too many roles, including supervising personnel, and it is time we allow him to be a rabbi first and foremost. I will say that in the short time I've gotten to know Marlene, she is creative, energetic, intelligent, and very tenacious. I trust Marlene will have the opportunity to make the changes needed for us to grow and prosper as a Jewish community and synagogue. We are now getting to a point where our staff is becoming increasingly professionalized, and processes and procedures will be put in place to continue that trend. I want to thank Becky Rolnick-Fox and the Executive Director Task Force and Search Committee for all the work that they did. And again, I will emphasize, it was not a little bit of work, it was a lot of work. We talked about many things about how the position would work, what the job description would be, who would report to whom. We did several rounds of interviewing candidates, and we finally selected Marlene. I also want to thank our generous donors who have committed to subsidizing this position for the next 2 years. And they are Steve and Janine Marks, Harvey and Kim Nelson, Steve Johnson and Lori Zuckerman, Keith and Candy Meerman, Jerry and Angela Sood, Tom and Gloria Triber, and Greg and Sue McMains. So please join me in thanking all of them. With the addition of an executive director, now known as Marlene, we have also added Leslie, cheerful Leslie, to our front office as an administrative assistant. As Greg told you, we also have a new approach to maintenance in that instead of one person, we now have a company handling our cleaning and minor maintenance needs. I'm also immensely proud of something else, and that is beginning a discussion 2 years ago with the Board of Trustees about the power and positivity of change, as well as changing the culture of board meetings. Change in life is inevitable, as we all know. It's something not to be feared, but to be embraced. The status quo should never be worshipped. You know that saying about you never step in the same river twice. We worked hard at having serious discussions about what change at a synagogue meant and how we could and should make change happen. All institutions should be in continual change and continual planning for the future. Change should be seen as a natural progression of strong leadership and strategic planning. As I've said repeatedly, as an institution, you are either changing or you are dying. I know which of those two I wanted to emphasize. In the last 2 years, we've continued to raise record sums in fundraising, including over $46,000 this year at our Spring in New York fundraiser. So thank you, Margaret Slesnick and Andy Ehrenberg and their fundraising committee for that work. And thank you to all of you who so generously donated to the fundraiser to help us raise this record sum. We also placed an emphasis these past 2 years on adding more members to our donor circles. We increased Rabbi Circle by 11 members, Building Circle by 4 members, and Benefactor Circle by 2 members. Who knew that sometimes all you have to do is ask? I'm very proud of these additions. In late winter, we were awarded nearly $100,000 by the state of Ohio in a security grant. We will be adding a license plate reader at the entrance to the driveway, a greater level of reinforcement to the glass on all of our front doors and the Mishkan doors, as well as paying for an increased police presence. The money in our security fund can now be used for continued security hardening, including a new lobby camera, which will film and record people coming into that space, as well as improve door access. So thank you to Skip for his successful and continuing work on not just the security grant, but the security committee and other security measures. Skip has had to navigate the rules and regulations of the state of Ohio, so an immense thank you, Skip, for that. Thank you also to Greg, who had to navigate the budget and how we would pay for an executive director. More than once, he probably could have killed me. I know that took a lot of time and ingenuity, along with his other responsibilities as treasurer. So, Greg, thank you. Some exec board members had to take on staff roles starting on March 1, and Audrey Baker was one of them. Thank you to Audrey as our facilities chair, especially in the past 4 months when you had to get bids for projects and repairs and oversee the same. There was actually a day when Audrey, myself, and board members Mike Butlin, Jana Lanier, Mallory Schwab, and Jim Ursahan were in the building cleaning because we didn't have anyone to clean, and the Amy Acton event was that day. And for more times than I can count, Audrey and I washed dishes, cleaned and restocked the bathrooms, cleaned toilets, emptied waste baskets, and vacuumed. Audrey, I would clean toilets with you any day of the week. Thank you. And just as importantly, thank you to you, all of our congregants. We always appreciate your dues and your donations, but we also know that spiritual homes are more than those who can afford to give generously and those who give generously even when they cannot afford to do so. They are also about the time and talent that people give to volunteer to make Temple Israel better. Those who chair and serve on committees, who show up for the services, programs, and events we plan, who deliver our New Year gift bags and work with sisterhood or brotherhood or caring community. Every one of you are important to Temple Israel, and we should appreciate and acknowledge that at all times. I want to say a special thank you tonight to Rabbi. Board presidents meet with Rabbi weekly to discuss issues and plans for the coming week and months. It was the highlight of my week, and I say that absolutely sincerely, and something I will miss dearly. During those times and others, Rabbi, you helped me in immeasurable ways to hopefully become a better person and first and foremost exhibit Judaic values. I know I didn't always succeed, and it was certainly not your fault. Rabbi and I placed an emphasis on working and supporting each other as a team, and I'm proud of what we did together. And thank you, Rabbi, for being here in ways both public and private, and simply for being who you are. Every day I consider us so lucky that we found you. I also want to thank those of you who commiserated with me, allowed me to vent when I was frustrated, and otherwise fully supported me. You know who you are. Know also that I appreciate you and love you. Finally, I have a gift of a book I purchased each for Greg and Skip as they begin their presidency. I debated among several books. One was How to Win Friends and Influence Enemies, Dale Carnegie. The other was, and these are real books, by the way. I have one of these. I bet you can't guess which one I have. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a, I'll leave that to your imagination, by Mark Manson. That's the one I have. And The Courage to be Disliked by Kashimi and Koga. In the end, I went with something Judaic. I hope it speaks to both of you. They're both different books. And more than that, I wish you much success and as few sleepless nights, at least, about Temple. That smells like barbecue. Ooh, the barbecue. I started this with an analogy about presidents as boat owners, and I'm going to end it with an analogy about presidents as bricklayers. Each president has the opportunity to build the inner workings of this synagogue brick by brick. I hope the bricks that were placed during my term were strong and secure and built a sustainable future. It has been truly an honor and a privilege to be your president for 2 years. I worked hard to feel that I earned that right to be president, starting as 2 years as secretary, then 2 years as second VP, and then 2 years as first VP. I hope that you saw some benefit from my hard work. I am leaving today as president with a full heart and immense gratitude to you all.
Thank you, Linda. And thank you to all the people who've been honored and received awards, to our youth especially. As I told Lily, and I'll share with the three of you now, you don't always get a check when you come to the annual meeting. But we hope that you'll be here many, many more times as you continue to grow in your leadership. Before we offer a blessing over our board members, I want to say one brief word that was not intentionally a bookend on, Linda, what you shared, but perhaps fitting. And that is, in the Torah, it's not called the Stanford, what was it, Duck syndrome, thank you. That's not in the Torah. But what is in the Torah is a character some of you may know of named Bezalel. Bezalel is known as the great artist, the person who is called by name to design the sacred space for the Jewish people. When you translate the name Bezalel, it actually means in the shadow of God. And when we think about our board leadership, sometimes people will presume that when the board gets together, there are these secret conversations that are all about the worst things a board could talk about, that somehow this group of people gets together and talks only about people's money or what dues should be and all the things that are challenging about being a part of a synagogue. But that's not actually what our board does at all. And in fact, we have a very thoughtful board. And our board very much is doing the work that is godly work, but that is not seen. It is the work, as Linda mentioned, that when there is no one to clean the bathrooms, sometimes they come and they clean the bathrooms. It's the work of having coffee with people all the time and having conversations. It's the work of interviewing our future leaders, our executive director, or talking to future members of the congregation. It's writing notes personally to thank people for supporting Temple or for being here for an important moment. It's lots and lots of talking and lots, even more, of listening. And I particularly want to thank Linda. Linda, who was a whole flock of ducks. I don't know, what do you call a flock of, what are ducks when they're all together? But Linda, during your presidency, no one had more coffees, more lunches, more interviews, wrote more handwritten notes, had more discussions, listened. All the while, when people would come talk to me about Linda, they would say, as Marlene said in her application, I believe, I would love to work with that president who is always so funny at the Bema. So while we were listening to Linda crack an impromptu joke from this podium, there was so much more happening behind the scenes that Linda was doing to work so hard as she put in countless hours, literally, on a weekly basis. And one last thing before we call the board up, and this is a testament to how much of that work, what I would call the godly work of this congregation, happens behind the scenes and how important it is. Anybody who's been in a meeting with Linda knows that she writes notes so furiously that smoke actually comes from the pencil. Who's been in a meeting with Linda? Yep, okay. So she did move to a computer a few times to where she was typing her notes. I have notes here from 2021 that Linda typed in a meeting with Becky Rolnick-Fox and David Chotner. Linda was tasked prior to being president with starting an emerging leaders program, and she met with Becky and David to pick their brains on what was needed. And in her notes from that meeting, she recorded that the third thing they said was they would both like to see the roles of the board professionalized and hire an executive director. That we have to take into account our future leadership, that we need more strategic and higher level discussion at board meetings, and that we have to capitalize on this incredible human talent that we have at Temple Israel by putting people, our lay leadership, our board members, in the best position to make the best decisions for our congregation. And so 4 years ago, Linda started having those behind the scenes conversations and has carried that process through, and it's fitting that we get to this point, having our first executive director hired as you conclude your presidency. It's a wonderful legacy to all the work that you did behind the scenes, even while you were telling jokes from the Bima. So thank you for that, and thank you to all of the people who have done that work. Alongside Linda, I want to invite our executive board members, our incoming executive board members, to join us on the Bima, joined by all of our returning board members. So executive board members and returning board members, if you'll make your way to the Bima, please. If you'll stand in front. It's a better picture if you stand in front. Also, there are some people who are brilliant. The youngest board member ever. We're going to have to move our meetings earlier, though. Board members, if you'll come stand in the front of the Bima, come stand this way, spread out across the front. It's better for the picture. And now we want to invite all of our new board members, those of you who are serving on the board for the first time, to stand in front of these board members. So guys, scoot over this way. Stand in front of it. You can stand in front of the podium. Yep, come stand up here. Thank you. We offer this charge over you as our leadership of this congregation. We remind you that Judaism began with a call to Abraham to start a journey to an unknown land full of promise and potential. Each one of you has traveled your individual journey to reach this point. For some, it has been a journey which has involved many stops along the way. Stops at meetings for our religious school or finance committee, honoring your loved ones when they've died, or blessing new grandchildren when they were born. For some, it's a journey which began not long ago as you sought out a new community, and we sought fresh ideas from a new perspective. For all of you, it is a journey you have taken as individuals, often sacrificing time with your family or career for the greater good of our Jewish community. And so today, first, we thank your families for sharing you with us. We honor the commitment you've made, and we ask you to lead us on a journey of promise and potential. We, the members of Temple Israel, call upon you now to be a blessing for this sacred community. Be a blessing as you share with us a vision of community, guiding us into our 161st year. Be a blessing to those who feel that they are strangers in our building. Remind them that they belong here, and more importantly, that they are not alone in whatever simchas, whatever joys they celebrate, or whatever struggles they face if they are a part of this community. Be a blessing as you keep us focused on the sacred, on what is truly important in our lives and to our community. Sometimes that will be a decision about who will flip a burger on our new grill. Sometimes it will be a decision about who will manage our budget. Both are important. We have a new executive director to help us do both of them as well. Remember, it's not her job to do either of those alone. Remember that the greatest blessings we offer are those that honor the people who trust us to be their Jewish home. And be a blessing as you enter into a sacred covenant, with our tradition as a guide and our history as a foundation for the future. Be a blessing as you inspire us and lead us, protecting the interests of us individually and as a community. God, we ask that you now bestow your blessing on these leaders who have raised their hand to bring blessing to us and have been elected to serve this congregation. Instill them with insight and understanding, perseverance and patience. Oh God, we are thankful for the dedication and giving spirit that bring these men and women before you, prepared to devote their energies to your service and to the benefit of this holy congregation, as we say, Amen. Amen. It's an honor to invite Skip and Greg to now address the congregation.
Just one more brief word about Linda. I did not see the smoke coming from her pencil. I was kind of distracted by the smoke coming out of her ears at times during the meeting, and couldn't always see that smoke in the pencil. An incredible leader. I mean, one other example, she wrote at the end of this year a President's Handbook, which is, it's only, what is it, about 30 pages? 33 pages, that's right. And collected all of the leadership documents, et cetera, and put them in one place, one set of files for us. That's just an example of how meticulous she is. And you know, if any of you have gotten an email or a text from her, you understand by the length of those emails or texts how meticulous she is. She forbade us from getting her a gift. Nonetheless, is Joelle Zellman here? No, she's not here. Well, Audrey and Paul Baker's daughter, Joelle Zellman, has a business monochrome canvas. You may have seen this print of her painting, which is in the Temple office. It's lovely. I really like it. We figured that Linda would like it. And has anybody ever been to the Strand bookstore? Oh, sure. So she even gets a Strand bookstore bag carried. So. And that's not a gift. That's just something to remind us of how much she's going to miss us.
The only thing I will say is she failed to bring my speeches for tonight, so that's probably
You know,
2 years.
we're the only thing between you folks and ice cream. So I'm limiting myself to 2 minutes. An author said recently we know more about international affairs and national affairs than we do about our neighbors and our community. This is part of the craziness that we live in now, unfortunately. But this congregation is an effective antidote to that. And if only I'd had such antidotes to work with when I was a physician for so many decades. But here, we connect, we work together, we learn together, we laugh together, we pray together. Amazing. We're so fortunate to be here together as a community, as neighbors, as a congregation, and I'm honored to work for all of us and to support all of you in any way I can. So thank you.
It fills me with a great deal of gratitude to be here because me, like Skip, we're very appreciative of of what we have here in this congregation. And first of all, I'd like to say welcome to the new board members and Marlene. We really look forward to working with you and developing a real great team that does wonderful things together. Secondly, I would like to welcome back the existing board members and executive board members and thank them for their past service and say that we look forward to working with you again next year. And Skip and I have kind of a mantra about meetings. 1 hour for every meeting. We will commit right now that we will not waste your time.
And we're 6 minutes over.
So we need to get moving. And the last point I will make, for me, this is personal. My grandson, Mitch, is a 4th generation Temple member. And he's now in the religious school. It's very important to me. But it brings me back to you, our Temple family, because I'm fortunate enough that Mitch is here, and I'm able to look at this and say, wow, this is something that I'm kind of paying forward and looking forward to. But I'm doing it for another reason. I have grandchildren in different cities around the country, and there are other people there that are paying it forward for my grandchildren in those cities. So our job we have here today is, what are we going to do? What's the legacy we're going to leave for our temple and for our people that come behind us? Because the people in front of us did a lot to give us the building we're in, give us the ability financially to be where we are and be as strong with the opportunity that we have to go forward. So I'll close asking one question of everybody. What's the legacy that you're going to leave for Temple Israel and yourself? Thank you, and we look forward to working with you.
One final thing, a thank you to Brotherhood for all the help they provided tonight. And if you're sitting next to anyone who smells like a campfire, just thank them and shake their hand. And so they did a lot of work, and it was much appreciated. So thanks. Let's go get some ice cream.